Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watch You Want, and thanks for logging on. Today, we're looking at the Corum Admiral's Cup Tourbillon 48. You can see this massive 18-karat rose gold Corum Admiral's Cup Tourbillon and buy it on our website, watchyouwant.com. And if you enjoy these videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Watch You Want Inc. You can also click on the card in the upper right-hand corner of the screen at any time to see our full listing for this watch with additional details of accessories, high-resolution images, and of course, complete pricing information. And regarding pricing, I will lead with this. This watch has an original retail value of $197,000, and on my wrist, 6 1/3 inches, 16 centimeters in circumference, I'm feeling all of it. This is a massive timepiece. It's as big as the hull of a battleship and just as hefty. So though born on a strap, you have an incredible impression of substance when wearing this watch. Now, it is surprisingly wearable on a smaller wrist. Again, my wrist is 16 centimeters in circumference, and you can see that the look is oversized, but the fit is secure. Now, 48 millimeters across what would normally be considered the round of the case is the measurement of the watch, but you can see there are very few parts of this case, which is a dodecagon of 12 sides, that are actually round. Now, the watch is actually quite slim, only 13 millimeters thick. That means with a generously sloped bezel, you can actually slide this one under a fairly tight dress cuff or sleeve. But the lug-to-lug measurement is imposing at 53.5 millimeters, not counting the outcropping of the beautifully sculpted alligator leather strap. Again, heft is the impression here. I will say, though, that with a massive double deployant trigger-activated 18-karat rose gold clasp, which I'm going to show you to good effect here, it's actually nicely counterbalanced on the wrist, which is to say this massive vessel from Corum actually has a bit of a keel to keep it centered on the wrist. Thanks to the mass of this beautifully built double deployant clasp, the watch doesn't have any top heaviness or tendency to capsize. Now, the strap is a very impressive piece, and I do say it is both sculpted and essentially bolstered. So bolster normally means there's a little bit of swell as the strap approaches the lugs. This is usually done for aesthetic reasons. But you can see here the image of a nautical pennant has actually been sculpted with bolstering into the strap. Now you can see that the pennants are the hallmark of the modern Admiral's Cup. They surround the rayhaut around the center of the dial, but to actually have them in 3 dimensions externally and wrought in leather is very impressive and thoughtful on Corum's part. Now, I should mention that the buckle, although massive, is also thoughtfully designed, again, for a smaller wrist, with 2 folding members, so you don't have that one big up and over pinch that can sometimes grab a smaller wrist with a single fold deployant. And again, twin trigger activated. This one's not friction fit, so you have the security when this watch, with all of its mass, is strapped to your wrist. Now, it's important to note that the dial of this watch is part of the tradition of pre-2013 Corum Admiral's Cups. This model was actually conceived in 2008. Now, in 2013, the model lost a lot of its character, and as much as the case became more of a cushion than a dodecagon, here we have bezel, dial, we have chapter ring, and case, all 12-sided, beautifully coherent aesthetically. It's a massive piece, but the highlight is that Corum caliber 372 movement. It's virtually indistinguishable from the dial itself. Now you can see how the tourbillon is beating away at 21,600 vibrations per hour at 6 o'clock, but every part of the dial is almost congruent with the look of the movement on the back. You have the same arrangement of wheels, open barrel, you have the beautiful black PVD bridges, and that is what you're looking at. That essentially renders this watch a completely open-worked dial. Although easy to read at a glance, those skeletonized trapeze-style hands at center are incredibly legible, and each one of these nautical pendants easily marks an hour, so although a bit unconventional, the watch succeeds in the most fundamental purpose of telling accurate and easy time. Now, there are a couple of other details worth noting. The 19 jewel caliber is entirely hand finish. This is a superior tourbillon with a beautifully grained tourbillon bridge and black polished Corum key logo physically built into the cage of the filigree style tourbillon, which you can see just beneath my thumb here. The black polish is beautiful, and as you can see, optically smooth, almost to a fault. It reflects light only in one direction. When it's not bearing that incidence to your eye, it almost looks black, hence the nickname Poly Noir. Now, it is a beautiful piece, and every facet of the dial, the case, the movement is hand finished. So if you're used to the Corum of the feather, the bubble, the toboggan, the Buckingham, this is definitely a cut above, more in the echelon of something along the lines of a Patek Philippe, a Lange und Söhne, Vacheron Constantin, or Audemars Piguet. Now, the last detail that bears mentioning is this massive crown guard assembly. It looks the business, and it's actually quite clever in its composition. Being more durable than a traditional PVD member, Corum cleverly made this a piece of vulcanized rubber, so if it ever gets scratched, if it ever gets scuffed, it's not going to show gleaming metal from beneath. It's going to protect the crown effectively, but it can be swapped out in service should it ever be marred. You can see this remarkable Corum Admiral's Cup 48 Tourbillon and buy it on our website, watchyouwant.com.